This is Spartan 117.
Anyone hear me? Over.
Isolate that signal. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
Welcome to Finish the Fight, a Halo podcast. I am your host, Jesse Reiners.
And I'm your host, Alex Kendall.
And this is our kind of, not initial reaction, but this is our reaction to the Halo Infinite gameplay demo.
Yeah, we'll call it reaction, kind of summary of it.
Our thoughts as well.
Our thoughts. We wanted to take some time to really dial in what we saw, dial in what was delivered, dial in what was presented on Twitter, because there was, with anything like this, especially Halo, especially a fandom that has been craving something for months and months and months, to hear about Infinite, debunking a lot of the rumors, because I even saw stuff of rumor, multiplayer won't be in on release, and 343 is no, it definitely will. I don't know why you're spreading this.
Where'd you get this from, son, huh?
Yeah, and even headlines that, stretch the truth a little, saying, Halo Infinite last Halo game?
Yeah. And
it's it's...
For a while?
Yeah, and it's to the point of yes and no. So we're going to dive in. I have my terribly written cardboard notes right here, as Jesse has seen.
Notes going on right
now. But this is more of a free flow podcast. And we did this months and months ago. I think it was one of our third episodes. Was
very early on.
Very early on when we kind of watched it at E3 last year and got our initial responses and stuff like that.
But we recorded literally, we stopped the showcase, recorded the episode. This is a few days later.
This is later. I wanted to take the time because you've already seen your YouTubers. You've already seen everyone else have their thing. We wanted to debunk some things. We wanted to take a more journalistic approach to this and not sensationalize.
No.
We'll give our opinions on it for sure. We'll probably give our opinions on it as we go through, but I want to be as objective as possible just so we know what's going on so far. And there's an amazing article. I'll link it in the description for this to PC Gamer. And it's a what we know so far. There's no sensationalization. It's just, these are literally what we know so far.
No speculation.
No speculation.
This is what we've been told. This is what has been confirmed, concrete.
Yes.
Fact.
So I'll post that link, on the YouTube, so you can see what we got going on that. And I'll throw it in our Discord and things like that. I think I already threw it there, but we'll throw it on social so you guys can kind of see. And they've done extremely well. There's no need to... I know fans love mystery and speculation and things like that, but we're trying to just give it to you, a what you know podcast so far.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we'll talk about our opinion some because and before we go any further, I want to say that we did have a Discord kind of launch watch party with this, and I remember as it was going on and when it was over, we were all chatting in voice chat, and I definitely was on board the whole why does this look the way that it does?
Yes.
This looks awful. And then Alex and I think the next day or even the same day, we talked for 30 or 40 minutes about it, and you weren't even trying to convince me. We were just having conversation. And I was also reading more about its 11-month-old build and everything like that. And that's why one reason why we wanted to wait is because now I'm okay, I get it.
Yes.
I get why it looked the way it did.
And we're because you're getting plenty of Greg memes and stuff out of it about the brutes and, looking like Shrek and
top notch.
And they're fantastic. But I think that's really where I wanted to start this, was to talk about how games are built and what we've seen. I want to talk about the difference between cinematic trailers and live gameplay that we saw, or as live as we can speculate it to be, but I believe that it was a live rendition that was recorded.
Yeah.
I don't think it was done in computer generated. I think it was actually played. So let's talk about that first. So obviously everyone was throwing comparisons of 4 and 5 graphics, that it's this very polished, real-life looking, and how they're why did they revert us back to 2? Why are we seeing Xbox-level graphics and not next-gen? So you have to understand, and you all should know this, there's alpha, beta, different builds. A lot of people get into beta keys. We've been seeing the betas for all the stuff coming to PC. Get into a beta, it's pretty polished, it's just figuring out typically the programming. It's typically bug work. It's typically getting those things. The alpha build, for most games, is going to be something that will give you a full kind of looking build that is polishing up a lot of aspects. This was probably put out at like, almost looks like a high-res 720p. You know, it was very still kind of clunky and sharp. And
well, also when you initially watch it, it's on a live stream that's just cloudy as hell.
yeah, it's a pre-record on a live stream that's there, so it's very tough to see. But any of those things you're seeing is an alpha build, a pre-build. It's something that is just there to make it look like the game will look, that's not fully polished.
Yeah.
There was a Twitter user that had this great commentary that put out a lot of games, alpha playthroughs, like Gears 5,
Yeah.
versus that same either cutscene or aspect in the game that we're seeing today. Huge difference. You're not having your lighting generated correctly right now. You're not having your shaders in. You're not having a lot of those aspects in. So, and I know most of you at this time, hopefully, have kind of gone back to that, but we just really wanted to reiterate that. That's not the final look of the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously it's not going to be.
And it's a shame that so many people just jump that bandwagon right away. You know, like you said, the initial aspect of it, like you said, this doesn't look that great. But when you take it back and you learn, like you said, 11-month build, it's still alpha, there's no shaders, there's no final texture packs, there's none of that stuff that's fully integrated into it, and the lighting was off, plenty of those things. That's to be expected in alpha build, especially on a AAA title.
Yeah.
So just wanted to start with that aspect and say, like, for me, outside of that, I think the game looks amazing.
Yeah, and I don't mean this as an insult. We both are, but you more than me. You're a jaded Halo player. And so seeing you're just like, you were very excited about this once we started talking about it as well, which got me excited because you were talking about the addition of the grapple hook and how it looks. Now the story is going to be like, that's really cool as well.
I'm very excited about it. You know, I've said this multiple times. You know, if you're not a listener of ours, this is the first thing you're finding of ours somehow, or if you haven't listened to earlier ones, I fell off of Halo at Reach. You know, I think I got burned out. I was an OG CE player. I played thousands and thousands of hours of 2, hundreds and hundreds of hours of 3, played ODST and loved it. I loved Firefight, put hundreds of hours into that. And then I think I kind of burned out. I don't think I enjoyed Reach. I don't think I enjoyed the story. And that's where I kind of fell off. I played 4. I ended up playing 5. I think Reach overall is better than 4 and 5.
As a guy who doesn't like Reach.
However, tangent-wise, the gunplay in 4 and 5 is amazing. It feels good. It's amazing to shoot. Story-wise, I don't think it was handled well. I don't think you can go from Blasting Covenant for, was it 5 titles, 6 titles?
Something like that, yeah.
And then switch to Prometheans without understanding what Forerunners are.
Oh, you had to read the books, of course.
Yeah, so that was a big issue for me. And then having 2 games of shooting robots, I know they're not robots. I know they're composed humans that are composed into this armor. I get that. But to get back and see that we have the Banished, which I thought was amazing. I think Halo 2 is one of the best games that 343 did as far as lore.
Halo Wars 2?
Yeah, Halo Wars 2, excuse me, not Halo 2. Halo Wars 2. They did great Halo 2.
They did a great remake.
That's what I meant. Halo Wars 2. Combining with Blur and combining with a beautiful, beautiful cutscene and story. You know, we speculated on this. This is my one speculation, is that I think they cut Halo Wars 2 development and expansions out to put that story into Infinite.
I think other than they needed a reason, they did Awakening the Nightmare. I think they wanted the Flood to come back and people know about it by the time they get Infinite, but I think that should have been saved for Infinite.
Yes.
Unless we're speculating that after Awakening the Nightmare, that's when they're like, we should incorporate this into the mainline Halo story.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I'm very excited about. People are calling it advanced movement. Sure, advanced movement, modern day gaming, I like to call it. I'm very excited for stuff like the grapple hook, you know, being able to run around and just have more options. I think that's so cool. And I think they took a risk doing a live trailer instead of doing some rendered cutscenes and stuff like
Story trailer,
Story
anything like
trailer.
that.
Maybe just like a little bit of gameplay that's in a very condensed area. But they wanted to show off the openness, the aspect of the grappling hook, of the different weaponry, of the look of the different enemies. And I'm actually genuinely excited for this. I'm gonna be honest. I was not excited for this at all up until now.
Yeah, we had talked about it, and I mean, I definitely started getting more on the hype train because I like about a day or two before I kept watching the trailer from the last E3, and then how 343 or how more so Microsoft through Halo was hyping this up on Twitter and everything like we talked about, and getting that quote unquote new cover because it's changed since last year. So I'm not banking on that being the final one either. I would love to. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm blindly jumping on the hype train. But yeah, it got me really excited. And then seeing it, it was like, at the end of the day, and again as well, I was like, wow, advanced movement kind of seemed to have drawn back a little bit because, Halo 4 and 5 a lot more fast paced. But then I thought to myself, what games did I love like so much? And it was Halo 3, ODST, and Reach. Those aren't fast paced games. Those aren't crazy fast. I wanted classic Halo, and I got it. And that's one reason, again, why we kind of waited. So we kind of let the trailer settle, and that way we can actually go, this is really how we feel. Because I think a lot of people who had their initial thoughts about it have already changed since then.
Yeah, because you're fighting an odd crowd right now. You're fighting, from talking with our Discord and our fans, you have your two groups. You have your OG players like me, your middle players, I'd say, was like you, and then your newer players who started at 4. Who have only been kind of 343 industry playing. So I think for them, a lot of the older games feel dated and slow. And I feel a little bit different. I don't mind the movement. It doesn't really matter to me. But for me, Halo has always been a very story-driven game that that fell for me in 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And I think this has me very, very hyped up for the story. Even though I know more about the Banished than I did of the Forerunners and the Prometheans at that time for 4 and 5.
Yeah.
I still don't know a huge amount. I will educate myself a little bit, but, I am also not a huge trailer guy. I really, really like to dive into a movie or a game kind of blind.
Yeah.
And to kind of go, that's what I did with 4 and 5, honestly. Like 5, I had to look up a bunch of that marketing for this podcast because I kind of blinded myself to it because I didn't want it. And that's why like my expectations weren't up for 5.
Yeah, well, I even remember with 5, I had kind of fallen off of Halo for a minute, and I was all super broke, so it's like I didn't have time to pay attention. And I remember I just played it too. I didn't pay attention. I saw that teaser trailer they released forever ago of Chief in the Desert, and then I played 5, and I was, I was like, the marketing sucks. So I went, as you did, and watched a bunch of trailers, and I was like, oh God, yeah, that was so mismanaged.
It was a beautiful marketing campaign for the wrong product.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that we haven't really had that much marketing with Infinite yet, other than I have not seen it myself. I've only seen one image from one user on the internet, but there is supposedly going to be Halo Infinite monster cans.
Yes.
That's actually really, I think we can stop now that we've mentioned it. We're just going to go now because
Jesse's got to find his monster.
I will drink all of them and save a few, but that makes me very excited. No more Call of Duty monster cans. Now we have Halo Infinite monster cans.
The true gamers are back. No, so yeah, we touched on that. Let's kind of break into it as we go along. Obviously, it's our first time seeing a splash screen that's very reminiscent for me of OG Halos.
Yep.
It feels very much Reach-esque. Of that start screen that we saw, like the press start to go or press the hamburger to go. Very reminiscent for those things. Then we see our pilot again. We see them. Brohammer. We see them, crashing through. We see that they're in distress. There's AA guns going off. The Pelican takes a couple more hits than I think it should from an AA gun, unless that's just
like 3.
Unless we say it's concussive flak, like the hits next to it and kind of.
I think from the trailer, it
hits him right on the nose. I'm trying to justify that. But so
be objective.
So we start with that. We get our old Chief back, in my opinion. I was also not a huge fan of Chief in 4 and 5, especially 5. He was a very love-bound, kind of lost guy.
Well, they kind of made him back to the old chief, but like really boring old chief. Old chief, you can make the argument he's boring. That's fine. But
Sure.
then they made him boring.
But like this to me is back to like OG one-liner. Where like he's like, we're going down, we're gonna die. He's like, nah, just stay this course. Like we're crash landing.
Yeah, and then whenever he's like, oh, they're AA, or he's like trying to say we need to get out of there, and then Chief's like, I count 3 anti-air guns, and then even like, you know, because that's something that's so excited for me, because 1 through 3 Chief I love it so much, and when like he's not super emotional, but he's telling the pilot, let me take out the AA guns, then we'll go search together. How he delivers it. Steve Downs, in my opinion, is back to being Chief.
It's back to the Downs we love with it, and like you said, it's very much the Spartan aspect of tactical first, but then you do get a little bit of it.
He has to be reassuring to him as well.
You get that. You get, I count 3, I'm gonna take him out. And he's like, no, we're not staying here. We're figuring. It's like, listen, this is actually the safest spot for you. Stay here. We'll go then look together. And that does bring a little bit of both chiefs in for me, which I think they did expertly as far as this aspect goes right now.
Yeah. Well, something I want to bring up real quick is that and not a lot of people are talking about this. I don't know why. It's in all of the trailers, or the trailer for it, you're seeing become the hero, and you see when that Mjolnir armor is being made, what does it look like? Who's wearing that armor? You are.
Yes.
We're getting back to Chief being a vessel for the player, which is so exciting.
Let's also touch back on that. What a beautiful sequence.
I can't tell if the people are live action or not, other than that close up of Halsey's eye. That person wearing like the HoloLens or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't tell if that's CGI. Or not.
My God.
I can't.
I cannot wait for the cutscenes in this, and just the in-game stuff is always going to be in-game. It's going to be close, but never real good. I cannot wait for the cutscenes and aspects of this on next-gen stuff, whether you're playing PC or the X Series or Series X, whether you're playing either of those. I cannot wait to see the renders, because that gave me so much hope. And we've never seen a production of a Mjolnir suit.
Yeah, like live action or not even like CG, anything like that. Like, it's beautiful. We've seen it being taken off.
Yes, we've seen it being taken off. We've never seen a production aspect of it. And I love that their first hint of the grappling hook is it being put on there.
The threads being coiled together.
Yes, like you see that like nanofiber going together. I think that's just so cool. And yeah, so that to be a start into this is awesome. And then I think we'll just get out the one more cutscene, I guess you would say, out of the way, and that is when we do see our banished brute. And I think, and it's really cool because if you popped on Twitter, you get to see the mocap guy who did it, like finally be like, I'm so excited for this. This was so much fun. Like I cannot wait for you guys to experience this. And to have hype around that stuff, we didn't have that in 4 and 5.
No.
With the voice actors and mocap and anything like that. I don't really think we saw much of that.
We did with they called it the Sprint Halo 5. It was part of their marketing where they released a video for every 2 weeks of production for their Sprint, and they showed a lot of the mocap, but it wasn't like people being like, I'm so excited. But it was just film them just doing it.
And it was also for 5. It was for the studio. This was a dude on Twitter just hyped that he was in this game, and he cannot wait because he's so excited about the final product of the thing he worked on. So I'm very excited about that. I think the speech was excellent. It gives us hints at what's coming. There
will be a boss battle.
Yes,
for sure.
We're gonna have stuff like that.
Not for sure. Sorry, speculated boss battle.
For sure, speculation. Basically, and the quote that he gives,
it's like bare your fangs, steer the fire in your heart, die well.
Yeah, I mean, along those lines, I thought it was just so chilling, and I love it because to me it shows respect.
Yeah, he's telling him, give me a good fight. He's saying, I'm gonna win.
Yeah,
but give me a good fight.
Well, and that to me is almost reminiscent of Contact Harvest, when we have the brutes above that is like the current chieftain has to fight son?
Maccabeus' nephew.
Yes, nephew. Thank you.
Charges' nephew.
Yeah, nephew. And I think that was so great. Like, let's do this battle. Let's honor this. And it's much more of the true fighter spirit and respecting that. And like, live well, die well, like type thing.
Like telling him die well, like saying like, I'm going to kill you. Let's make this honorable for you.
And it's I think it's so cool, and we're seeing a whole new aspect of the Covenant in the Banished, and just what that's going to bring. And mentions of a Harbinger, which I've seen speculations is that Cortana,
or Mendicant Bias,
because we obviously had a lot of talk about that, like who's that actually going to be as a Harbinger with them, so I think that's going to be very interesting, and the interesting aspect of what happened to Cortana, what happened to the Prometheans and everything we're seeing.
The Spirit of Fire, UNSC, Infinity.
Because we're 167 days?
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering too. This isn't speculation. This is me just wondering: are we going to do flashback missions or what? Because we know what 343 said was that cutscene we saw last year, Discover Hope, was the cutscene for the first mission.
Yes,
and we know it's after the days. Or, it's X amount of days after we lost.
Yes,
so,
and the thought of the loss. And you see all these UNSC, either colony worlds or hubs, gone.
Yeah, and it's saying Oni and UNSC as well. Like, everything's wiped out. So we're also wondering how much more humanity is left. And I really think that one reason they did that is because everyone didn't like the idea of the squads in Halo 5. So now you're back to just being Chief.
And I'm very interested if they're going to bring in shield worlds into this, if they're going to bring in, a lot of those aspects of, because we've been hinting at it a lot of hiding out in a shield world to protect yourself from a lot of these things. So are we going to see that? So a lot of speculations, but let's get back to the trailer we saw and let's talk about the meat and potatoes of what was in there. One thing I want to bring up first is just all aspects of the brutes. We're getting our amazing Mauler back.
Mauler-esque, yeah.
It's like an updated Mauler. Yeah, so we're getting a Mauler-esque. I think it's more shots now. But you see Chief reload it and use that. Plus some other like riot control shotgun, it looks like. It's like a big one.
It's the new shotgun. So I think they're replacing it, which that has been kind of a consecutive pushback thing where they're like, just give us the old shotgun back because no one was really a fan of 4 and 5 shotgun. So, because especially when they're like, we have a new rocket launcher for Halo 5. Everyone's like, why?
Yeah, so I'm definitely excited about the weapon choices and what's going to come through. Once again, I wasn't a big fan of 4 and 5. I did like some of the weapons. But I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this. So, definitely see some change with the brutes. You're seeing behavior. You're seeing brute drop pods. So, it's the first time we're seeing them in a mainline game. And I love just how rash and crazy they are. Like they drop down and explode.
Yeah, they'd start heating up and then explode.
Oh, that is so neat. So the brutes are definitely going to be a really cool aspect. I think the Covenant in general, I'm very, very excited to see them back, at least right now in this, what we saw, 100%. I don't know if that's going to be the entire case the whole game, or what we're going to be seeing. But I'm very excited about that.
We're also seeing classic art style again. Jackals look like it. Elites look like it as well. And I mean, because there was no reason, in our opinion, to ever change them so drastically like they did. There was zero reason to, literally, other than for 343 Industries to say, that's what Bungie did. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And something Alex and I talked about a lot was, I would love, this won't happen, for 343 Industries to straight up say, we changed all of this stuff back because we realized you guys just didn't like what we did. The majority, and I know you say, well, they're, Halo 4 and 5 were some of the best-selling games. Just because you bought the game doesn't mean you like the game. Let's be honest.
No, Walmart can buy an entire album out, and then Taylor Swift gets a platinum album just because Walmart bought 165 million copies that sold just at Walmart.
But also, you can't deny a majority don't dislike a lot of aspects about 4 and 5. And I would love to see how 343 Industries is going to justify all these decisions to go back to Classic, because...
You know what it's going to be? The Banished have always been Classic.
Yeah, like, basically, and if you've heard our Halo 4 episode, and you'll hear in our Halo 5 episode coming out eventually, is that 343 Industries makes a lot of excuses for their decisions. They don't straight up say... yeah, we did this because it just looked cool. They have to give you this really drawn out explanation. Or if they screw up for the longest time, I remember for Halo 5, Frank O'Connor kind of really didn't admit fault for a while.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a few years later that 343 Industries admitted fault for Halo 5. I would love for them to just simply say, hey guys, we realized what we did in Halo 4 and 5 probably wasn't the best idea. That's why we're going back to the Halo everyone knows.
Or even in marketing, something like you guys were always right, like a chief thing. Like they need to be like acknowledged, but like something in marketing along the lines of like, he's back and you guys have always, you guys were right.
But I'm saying it'll never happen because
No.
343 Industries can't admit that.
No.
Because it's literally what we've seen in all these things. Like, even when 343 Industries changed how Chief looked for Halo 4, the logic... of course, he said the canonical reason was the most finite or the smallest reason why, but Frank O'Connor said it was for art reasons. It's because we have a higher fidelity and more resolution now, so we wanted to show off an armor that just had more detail.
Yeah.
Or just up the res like they did from 2 to 3?
Just take the same armor, but make it better defined.
Yeah, like what?
Or, evolve it a little bit like Mjolnir has, but not that much.
Yeah, like literally 2 to 3. They didn't go, well, we have a new console, so
we have a new
just
engine, so we're
changed
just gonna...
it. They just made it more.
Yeah.
They just put more pixels in it. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole of a rant, so let's
Yeah,
just
you
get
are, because
back.
there's nothing to do with it. Let's go back to Infinite now.
Let's go back to Infinite.
Another thing that we saw that I'm very excited about is throwing grunts. So, so suicide grunts aren't just going to like pop 2 grenades and run out. It looks like we're going to have brutes be able to just chuck them at you.
Brutes or elites, yeah, just chucking them. And then we have like what people are calling those fusion coils, like the noob cube. So like as grunts are being thrown at you, you can also throw things too, like those fusion coils as well. Like that's cool that we can start throwing things.
Yeah, because it also ties into the grappling hook, which is for some reason a hot topic of discussion. It's mobility, plus it's a whole new aspect of gameplay.
Because nothing we've seen in Halo before.
No, it looks like very Titanfall-esque. You can almost link onto everything and either pull yourself up a cliff face, attach yourself to a brute or elite or really anything, jump to it and drop kick it. You can grab those fusion coils with it and pull it towards you and then toss it. So I think a whole new set of gameplay is going to come from that.
Imagine trying to find skulls now in speculated open world-ish environment. It's gonna be like open world linear story.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But imagine trying to find and traverse that Halo ring and find those skulls. It's gonna be a lot of work.
Well, the thing is too is it's equipment, so it's not gonna be a permanency that's with you. Is at least what it looks like, because we see also a new shield that you can shoot through. So we're seeing a front.
That thing look cool.
So we're seeing a front-facing shield that's similar to like a mix of the bubble, but plus like the pop-up shields. But you can shoot through them. So we're definitely getting that aspect of it. Going to that open world. It when they open the map, it reminds me a little bit more of your small open worlds like Assassin's Creed and things like that that'll unlock stuff as you go, because it looks like they were in an isolated area at that time.
There's like the level is like open.
Yeah, so it might be unlocked as you go. And I believe there was talking about there'll be brute fortresses and things. So I think there potentially will be kind of side quest stuff where you can take out things like that. There might be upgrades, there might not be. We don't know yet. That's not part of what we know. But the open world aspect, I think, is going to be cool. And it's funny because fans asked for it since CE, and now fans are like, open world, boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo.
So, but if you like it or don't, this goes back to my trailer aspect of it. We just have to play it and see what the aspect is. Maybe it's going to be something great like original Halo, the mission, and be able to like drive around, pick what you want to do, save those Marines first, go to this one. So kind of on rails, but open. We'll see how that aspect of it goes. Another thing is looking at the enemy's behaviors, I think is really interesting in this one, as well as blood splatters, plasma, exploding methane, I think has been taken to 11.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. I love the plasma, like burns and splatters from the guns. I think that's the first time we've seen that. And instead of just being like a blue dot that keeps like popping
flashing
up, on people.
Flash, really.
Yeah, now it's like actually like liquid plasma, which I think is amazing. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about that aspect. Like I said, Jesse said, first time you've really been excited about this type of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely getting there.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about like vehicles for a second, because so far we've only really seen one. We did see the Banished Phantom.
Yeah.
From Halo Wars 2. I have seen some feedback that, I mean, it looks like an asset that was just pulled straight from the game. There's really nothing different. And I hope, too, it does get a little bit of a redesign.
And once again, it will. If you watch it, it was very clunky. When it like came, it was like, "Meh, meh, meh, meh." So it's one of those
I don't
things.
remember making those sounds.
It did. You had to listen real tightly, though. It was an Easter egg. No, I think it's one of those aspects that it was probably just an asset pulled, that they went, here's the tracking path. It's just going to follow this tracking path.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, as well as we talked about the idea of where is Cortana and all this. We know she's in the game because remember from the Discover Hope thing.
Yes.
And as well as the QR code. So we know she's in the game, but where is she in the game and how does she play into this?
Is she the Harbinger? Is it a whole other aspect? Are we going to have, a huge battle? Or if this is going to be a hub, kind of like Destiny was, Destiny 2 at least now is, are we going to have expansions? Because like was said with a speculated headline, last Halo game, yes and no. It's the last numbered is what they kind of confirmed with it. They want this to be a 10-year path, exactly what Bungie did. So they're following the footsteps, a 10-year path.
No, see, we're not following Bungie because...
This is 10.2-year path. It's different. No, they want a 10-year path. So I think it's going to be a giant hub where we can possibly travel to other places or other parts of the ring. Make the ring huge as it should be.
To scale
and be able to go and travel to flood-infested areas, Cortana, esque infested areas with her humans and possibly, more Forerunner aspects to it. What are we going to see?
Yeah, that's the really interesting thing. And something I do want to bring up is, so a few months ago, we did have some leaks of the story and everything. And I remember that the grappling hook was in that leak.
I think it was a screenshot because it was like a screenshot up top that you could see the icon for it.
And so really, as well as these leaks also mention the idea of a time travel and rebooting the series itself because they're going back in time to CE times. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And by no means am I saying that this is true. But I do always go, okay, one aspect of that leak was true. How much more are we going to start to unravel before we see more and more is true? And by no means am I going, well, the grappling hook was true, thus the rest will be. I am just genuinely curious.
And honestly, a lot of it could have just been tests. The grappling hook might have made it past the beta, like the beta test that they were doing on testing new equipment.
Or even like speculated ideas or concepts that were thrown around because we even consider thrown out concepts content.
Yeah.
So by all means, I want to say that, put that out there, food for thought. I'm curious. I'm just curious if they were to go that route or not. I'm not ruling anything out at this point because in the past we've seen 343 will just do whatever they want. So, and I'm not saying that for better or for worse. I'm just saying I'm not ruling out the idea that could happen.
Yeah, and I think we'll kind of wrap this up, because you've kind of heard from everybody on this, but we kind of wanted to give our ideas going through and just a lot of major concerns or quote unquote from everyone, cautiously optimistic.
Guilty.
Yes. Wanted to just kind of give our side of it and just what we've explored, we've tried to debunk, what we kind of know, kind of don't know. We are seeing some more vehicles coming in. There are a couple confirmations that we've seen thus far, and we'll continue to see it as we go. I think they'll slowly parse some data on Twitter or like little announcements.
Give me some more teasers.
Yeah, they'll hit that wave of teasers. We're like, oh, interest is kind of fading a little bit. Boom, teaser.
They're going to look at impressions and trending.
Oh, 100%. And keep releasing it. We've got a holiday. So...
Which I'm still surprised we don't have a release date yet. And we don't have any idea where to
No release date, but they have confirmed that Corona did not have a huge impact on their production cycle and everything they were doing. Because a lot of games like Cyberpunk and very much others were pushed back indefinitely for some, released later down, like Last of Us 2 was released later. So there are some of those, but they said that they're on track. And I think they have to be being release title for the Series X.
Yeah. I do want to say this, is that after the release of Master Chief Collection, that was very rocky. Bonnie Ross has gone on to say you will never see another Halo title. She didn't say mainline Halo title or anything. She said you will never see another Halo game get released without a multiplayer beta. Have they gone back at that? Or are we going to get one last minute for polishing? Because we have seen betas come out only a month before a game.
So there is no guarantee. I think they're going to, if they are doing it, they're going to hold out for fanfare and shock value. Because I think that's what Infinite's been. It's been let the fans find the QR. Let the fans, see on Chief's helmet 3 lights. I don't know if you saw that speculation.
Yeah, and they're upside down version of what Medic it looks like.
So, is that something? So they know that their fans, even in the box art, seeing the brutes in Chief's visor, the fans are very observant. So I think they're relying much more on the Sherlock Holmes aspect, sleuthing, and less of like the just kind of, here you go, here's your thing.
Yeah.
I'm interested too. Are they going to do like an I Love Bees or some aspect of like you have to find these 4 QR codes and that unlocks your multiplayer beta? I would love that. I think that would be one of the coolest marketing aspects to put out there of trying to register those things. Will they do it? Who knows?
I'll never be playing the beta then because I'm dumb.
Who knows what those aspects are, but I think they need to pick it up. We've had literally 2 pieces of media, 2.5 if you count the YouTube trailer they put out as well.
Yeah.
That have come out besides leaks of mega blocks and some internal documents possibly.
Yeah.
So we'll see what ramps up come September.
Yeah. I mean, it's a waiting game. That's all it is at this point.
Yeah.
But that's really, that's what we know.
Yeah, it's what we know. So I want to give, my last impression, and not a rating as we do, but give you just my impression on it.
I'm rating Halo Infinite right now.
All right, do it. But from seeing that, from seeing the community involvement that 343 is pushing, from the excitement from people who've worked on it that are outside of the 343, that are contractors, basically. Steve Downs, this mocap artist who did the Brute, I think I'm genuinely excited for this title.
Yeah.
I have not been excited for Halo for a bit. I mean, we've been doing the Halo podcast and it's been fun, but my opinions on a lot of it. It's something that hasn't excited me in a long time.
Yeah.
And I was, really, Infinite is 343's and Halo. Sink or swim.
Yeah.
It's what's either going to kill the character off, per se, the character of Halo, the genre of Halo. It's going to kill it off, or it's going to revamp it and hype it, and it's going to be kind of what Destiny really hoped to achieve with their open world aspect and traveling and other aspects of it. I love the weaponry thus far. I love the inclusion of the grapple hook, the openness, the wildlife. We're finally getting more wildlife instead of MOAs. Like we're getting all these like little gerbily things and birds and
space squirrels from Halo Reach.
It's really cool to see, and I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for the story. I'm excited for the Banished. I'm excited for Brohammer and all these other things that we're going to see. Because we may see that Brohammer is our Cortana. I think that's been speculated a while, that he'll be talking to us, and I think we're going to set up bases.
Yeah.
I think that Crash Pelican is our first base, and then we're going to expand out.
I also like that he doesn't like swoon over Chief or anything.
Oh,
He's
no.
straight up like,
I saved you.
Yeah.
Now you need to save us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I found you out there. Like, he's not Mr. like, we'll do whatever you want. There's pushback, and I like that.
And it's the reality of it, because Spartans were always gods in all the games. Spartans here, yay, we're doing it. Spartans can do this. And now it's like, no, dude, everything's gone. I'm in it for survival now.
Yeah. But, I mean, if I have to give my opinion and impressions too, and this has nothing to do with the graphics, but the design itself, I'm still not the biggest fan of some of the new weapons. That's subject to change the more I use them, and probably get used to them inevitably.
Yes.
But I'm just not the biggest fan. I'm not going to tell you they're bad. I personally just don't see it fitting the style. But again, subject to change. I'm not making anything concrete. I was in that school of thought of this looks like trash. I hate how this looks. If this was, I literally said multiple times, if this demo was from a year ago, then it's justified. Well, it's from 11 months ago, which I consider very much so justified.
Yeah.
And another reason why we want to do this episode is really just let it sink in. I've watched it multiple times since then. I'll probably be getting a Series X. There's still plenty of games that'll be coming out in the future that I'd love to play until it turns into a Netflix box 6 months after I get it.
Yeah, I'll be buying it on PC. And I genuinely, if we had seen this and I didn't like it, I would have been like, Jesse, you're buying it, we're playing it on your system to get it for the podcast. Yeah. I mean, that's generally what it would have been for a while until the price fell or I figured something out. But yeah, I'm getting it for the PC. I'm very, very excited for it.
And you can get something at launch from Halo on PC. That's exciting.
Which is very exciting. I don't have to get proprietary console, which I'm not buying a Series X. It's just, I'm not really a console player. And for me, The only title out that's guaranteed is that.
Yeah,
okay, cool. I get Forza, and I get that zombie game, the third version of it. Neat.
I mean, you have a PC already.
Yeah, I already have I have a gaming PC I've built. So to have that is going to be great. I am definitely excited for it. And, this isn't a criticism to everyone out there, but just do a little bit of research in in the stages of gaming. Like see what it takes to make a game and see the aspects of it. I know that we always, for the most part, get the perfectly polished product already out, and then we can critique it to hell. Well, if you would have shaded it this way, you're not a designer. You don't work in the programming aspects of it.
I even see a lot of people who do they know some of that stuff. I can adjust the shaders. Cool. You can't create this game from the ground up. If you were put in any design, you wouldn't be able to work for this company, period.
Yeah.
You can go in and you know how to adjust the shaders and the resolution. That doesn't mean that you can get a job doing this for a living.
Yeah. So, just educate yourself a little bit on that. Because, and this, it's not a defense towards anything they've done. Just educate yourself, just so that as games continue to come out, what goes into them, what are the stages, what are the build states, and to get you an idea before, you start making all your brute memes, which are great, but
keep those coming.
Keep those coming. But as far as the critique in the look itself, look at past games, watch stuff like that, and just see what it is. Just to educate yourself on how hard it is to create these things and how many hours go in for a game that we can, talk trash on immediately. So definitely keep that up. But like I said, I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. I know everyone has different faults, whether you're a diehard player that's been in it forever, a new player, or any of those other aspects. Let us know what you think. Just from what we see and what your opinions are on gaming. I'm excited this might be fast paced. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the same boat as you, man. Let's just wait and pass judgment with what we know, but still be open to things that are coming.
That's the thing. Pass judgment when you play it. You can speculate right now if you want, but play it. If you like it, awesome. If you don't like it, okay.
And don't wait for an IGN article either or something like that. You know what? Whenever we find a date, and the second we find a date, and about 2 or 3 weeks before, maybe even a month before, go dark. Because you're going to start seeing reviews, and what's going to happen is it's going to skew, that open-mindedness you would have going into the game. Because now you're going to have a perception of the game before ever playing it.
Yes.
Don't look at a single review. Don't pay attention to them. Don't watch a donkey video or anything like that. Just go. By the way, donkey videos are great. But I'm saying it's just go in blind. At least with what people think. Because it's about what you think. That's it. You can go off the brute memes a little bit. That's fine. Other than that,
base your entire knowledge of this on how many brute memes keep popping up.
But really, that's what I'm going to do too. I'm not going to look at any reviews or scores or anything like that. It's going to be, and here's the thing: I'll probably play it 2 or 3 times the campaign before I really get it down, before I really let it sink in. Because I've done that with two in games I've played before, where I played them once and I said, "This sucks. This is great," and then you play it 2 or 3 more times, and you go, wait a second. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
It'll be fun. But yeah, so we're wrapping that up. I appreciate you guys, taking the time to, for some reason, listen to our opinions. We wanted to get this out there, and like I said, digest it, sit on it, see what pops up. But yeah, we're gonna get a lot more coming out. I'm gonna post that PC Gamer article, and just don't keep reading headlines everywhere. Pull it from the source. If you can pull it from any of the 343 industry people's Twitters or from confirmed sources,
or even just read the article.
Yes,
clickbait is a skewed version.
It's to get the click or to get the view, and then you go. So read the article if you can. It only takes a couple minutes, but yeah, we just want to thank you guys for listening. I'm your host, Alex Kendall.
I'm your host, Jesse Reiners.
Have a great day, guys.
It's finished.
No, I think we're just getting started.